Hello everybody, my name is Icy Chill, and welcome to the first video of a new series of mine. This series is going to be called Icy Talks, as you can see in the title, where I just talk about things that happen and I enjoy myself. Hope you can all enjoy me as we get right into the meat and potatoes of today. So, I typically go on a walk every day now, about 45 minutes to an hour of just walking. Then I do some stretches. When I get home, I shower. I feel it's good for my health, which it is. Also, with just benefiting my health in many ways, I also feel like it makes everything easier to think about. I have a tendency to talk to myself, and I'm definitely more of a verbal thinker, so when I'm expected to be quiet about my opinions and stuff, I don't think about them at all. And what walking every day allows me to do is have that time to talk to myself in an environment that will also benefit my health. I also thought more about the math test I had to take today. I didn't like it all too much, considering the simple fact that the word problems were the first problems on the quiz. I mean, come the heck on. You don't put the worst questions first. At least, I don't think you should do that. You should ease the student in. Though I could just be a dummy for thinking that, though. On the topic of my digital social life now, well, my digital life, which is at this point basically my social life thanks to quarantine. I've been playing a lot of rhythm games lately, and I have fun with them. This by no means makes me good at them. I can't even do a 0.60 per difficulty song on Quaver without feeling like heck. But this has led me to look up these types of games on the internet, one of which is called Osu. Yes, there's an exclamation point. You can tell it's Japanese from that. But basically, this game reminded me of another game. Now, I'm not going to say what it is, because that's a topic for a whole nother video, but I think you're going to all love it. Nevertheless, rhythm games are fun, despite me having no skill. I'd mention Friday Night Funk in here and how awesome Week 7 is, but I don't have Week 7, so yeah. And plus Newgrounds is like dead on arrival because of the hype. And now we're on to the big cheese of today. This is partially because I have a social project about it, and partially because I actually want to talk about this. Canada's history. I'm a Canadian citizen. What about you, eh? But despite this, I don't know a lot about our country's history. At least until recently. Let me give you a rundown. European settlers came into Canada to make trades with the indigenous. These people at the time were referred to as Indian because they thought they were in India, and they kept being called that Indian until more recent times. Now they're indigenous. I believe there's actually a little debate over their title, actually. Some say First Nations, Aboriginal, Natives. I prefer to say indigenous due to it being the way I've been taught to say it. However, in all mentions of official documentation, I will say Indian. Then, later on, John A. Macdonald became Canada's first Prime Minister and signed off a document allowing for the creation and usage of these things called residential schools, which, the name alone doesn't sound good. Their purpose was to, and I quote, assimilate the Indians. End quote. Because, basically, it meant to strip them of any culture and the like. Thus, residential schools were made. Their legacies have affected all the Indigenous in Canada, arguably. The acts done in these schools are, well, they were beyond hideous. And they included physical, mental, and emotional harm, resulting in a spike of PTSD among the Indigenous who actually graduated. It also had a high mortality rate. You heard that right. Mortality rate. People died in these things. Now, for one, that is horrible, and two, should have alerted someone that something is up with these schools and they aren't doing the thing they were told to. These schools actually led to generational trauma, meaning the descendants of the people who went to these schools, they had these memories of their last of kin? I forget the word that is the opposite of descendants, but you know what I mean. It's kinda rough stuff if you ask me. Either way, this led to a lot of apology and compensation from the government after the last one closed in, like, the 80s? I think it was the 80s or the 90s, but it's really recent. But, nothing will change up the legacies that occurred due to globalizing this place, and yeah, it's really rough stuff. Nothing will ever cover up the legacies left behind by historical globalization in Canada. Either way, this has been Icy Chill, and this ends episode 1 of Icy Talks. See you guys later. Deuces.